Welcome to Catholic Messenger Conversations podcast. Today's conversation with Bishop Dennis Walsh focuses on parish planning, preparing individuals on the journey to become members of the Catholic Church, and Bishop's personal experience of pilgrimage. Let's get the conversation rolling.
We're ready to go.
Okay, good. Okay, Bishop, Atelmo's parishes began talking about a possible merger back in, I guess, the 1980s, when there were 3 parishes. Now, St. Mary the Visitation and St. Patrick, the 2 remaining parishes in Atelmo, are planning a merger on July 1st. You and Dan Ebner, the Diocesan Director of Parish Planning, were in Atelmo on February 3rd, I believe, to talk with the parishes about the planned merger. So I was wondering, what was your intention in going to that meeting?
Sure. I think we were there at the invitation of Father Sia. Father Sia invited us in to talk to parishioners. And oftentimes, whenever the question of a parish merger is introduced, it's always a cause of great anxiety for parishioners. So we went with the intention of really just answering questions and putting aside fears about. And usually the big fear is the closure of parishes, and just wanting to get those questions answered for people and to put their fears aside, and what were the expectations of the parishioners, and what are the benefits really of parish mergers, especially those Atelmo parishes, and what can be done better.
Oh, that's good. That's good. What questions did parishioners ask you about, and how did you respond?
Yeah, I think generally questions were, are we going to use both church buildings was a question, and the answer to that is yes. I mean, so when Father Sia introduced the question and asked for some feedback from me, it was the first question that I asked is it going to be one parish? Is it going to be a brand new building? Is it going to be using both parishes? And so I think the plan is to use both parish buildings, to combine the whole parish under one canonical structure of one parish, utilizing the names of both parishes as sort of chapels. That will be St. Mary's Chapel and St. Patrick's Chapel. We did ask them to come up with a new name, so they can have whatever name they want, and they can even combine the 2 names as part of a parish. But those are the conversations that need to take place right now. Is just sort of unpacking the particulars of what it all looks like. Another question that they had is about the finances. Can they keep finances separate, and what it doesn't make much sense to keep finances separate. It'll be a new parish entity. It'll be a new tax ID number. It'll be a new corporation.
That's right.
It'll be a new canonical parish. So everything starts over for the most part for the communities, and they'll bring together their assets, and then also all their consultative bodies, their parish councils and finance councils, and all of that.
And did someone ask you anything about like endowments, or if they could do something to upkeep the
They
church?
do ask about endowments, and I'm, as a pastor, I was always a big fan of endowments for parishes, especially for parish buildings, maintaining. People had to take a lot of pride in their parish churches, and people want to preserve those and preserve that legacy. And I mean, the church building itself is very special to us as Catholics. It's places of encounter where our baptisms take place, our marriages take place, our first communions take place. They all take place in a building, in a structure, and so the buildings are very important. And so I'm always, if people wanted to set up endowments for the future to preserve their parish churches, that's the physical building itself. So.
That's good. And then I was wondering, so what did you take away from the meeting? I don't know how long it lasted, or...
It was not a long meeting. It was about, I think once people knew that it did not mean the closure of parishes. And I think they were open to the possibilities. The reality is we just can't do it anymore with the number of priests that we have, and we have to ask the question: what is more important, the Eucharist or the building itself? And of course, as Catholics, the Eucharist is the central part of our life. So we just can't keep running our priests to the ground, trying to maintain a structure that has been around for a long time. So the structure has to fit the number of priests, and it has to fit the the opportunity for the Eucharistic celebration, and for the Eucharistic celebration to be done in a manner that's very worthy and well done, rather than just kind of doing it for the sake of as a perfunctory thing.
Well, and Father Sia is actually at this current moment is pastor of 3 parishes, right?
Correct.
In Bloomfield. Bloomfield is a 3rd parish, but it is not part of the
Correct. Bloomfield,
merger.
yes, Bloomfield will not be part of the conversation.
Okay.
And that was a decision locally, and I prefer that all these decisions be made locally rather than just pointing to me and say, Bishop, you make the decision. So that was a decision they made locally to leave Bloomfield out of the configuration.
Did you get a feeling that they wanted you to make any decisions or not?
I don't get that feeling, and
Okay.
I would push it back to them.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean, if I have to make the decision, it's probably not going to be a decision that anyone's going to be real pleased about. But
That's right.
I think locally they can make the decisions that best suit them, and we just have to lay out the reality for people that the status quo isn't really much of an option in the future. We just don't have the clergy really to staff all the places, and to have that everybody can have a convenient mass time of when they want it or when they've always had. So with the limited number of priests comes a limited number of options for liturgical celebrations. So
What happens next then in this merger process?
So there needs to be a formal request from the
Okay.
parishes. Father Sia has to do a consultation with both parish councils. So the pros and the cons of what has been said in that consultation process needs to be recorded, and then Father Sia will present to me a letter asking for the merger of the parishes. And then I will take that to the Presbyteral Council, which is an elected body of priests who will, in church law says I have to hear their consultation on the matter. And after that, I'll probably take it to the College of Consultors, which is really a higher body of consultation that the bishop has available to him in making these difficult decisions. The parish needs to decide a name for the parish, and I've always said in parish mergers and school mergers, people are very tied to name. In everything there's winners and losers.
Yeah.
And if you keep one of the names, then one parish feels that they lost and the other parish won. And so I'm very big into it's got to be a new name.
Yes.
And we can keep the names of the parishes that are currently there as chapels, but under the umbrella of a new parish name. So,
That's probably a real comfort that they can keep the name of the
of the
chapel,
church itself,
right?
the chapel itself, yes. Yeah.
That's great. How does the Ottumwa experience fit into the overall parish planning in our diocese?
We haven't really done a lot of proactive parish planning. Most times the parish planning has been in response to a personnel crisis in terms of asking parishes to twin. We're getting to the point where we have to do a much more methodical, planned, proactive approach toward parish planning for the future. Not sure what that means. We are looking at a ministry formation program where we can have sort of ministers in parishes, but not necessarily priests who can
Right.
administer a parish under the direction of a pastor. But those parishes may not have a Sunday Eucharist every Sunday in the future. Don't know. Those are all things that need to be discussed in the future of what pastoral planning looks like for this diocese going forward. We have, I think we have 74 parishes. We're a very small diocese. I think San Diego has like 1.5 million people in their diocese.
Wow.
They only have 92 parishes. And
Wow.
we have 85,000 parishioners in our diocese, and we have about 75 parishes. So,
And the idea of a ministry formation program, if there were lay people who could do the administrative kinds of things, that would allow parishes to keep their buildings too, wouldn't it? For the most part?
It can keep a parish vibrant. It's just that and the parish can stay open for like weddings and funerals and stuff like that, and even sacramental prep and religious education. But even now, a lot of that is being combined under one umbrella. of neighboring parishes. But a sacramental or a minister, a lay minister in a parish, or a deacon leader. I think in this diocese they call them parish life coordinators. So
Yes.
forth. It allows the parish to maintain a sense of vibrancy, allows the community to sort of center and focus around the parish again, and we can look at those options, but just realistically, we may not be able to offer mass every Sunday going forward, unless there's a drastic uptick of vocations in the future. We need to be proactive about what the future looks like in terms of how many can we qualitatively serve rather than just kind of making sure that everything gets covered. Because I think when we stretch the personnel of the diocese so thin,
Right.
we probably don't do it well. So what is the best way that we can provide effective ministry in a parish and provide the sacraments in a way that is an efficient use of our clergy personnel?
Exactly. And I understand, I don't believe there are any ordinations to the priesthood this year in our diocese. Is there?
There are none this year, and I don't think there's any next year either. So
Oh, wow.
after that, we probably have one. So we only have right now 5 men in formation for priesthood in the whole formation program. So
That's a sobering reality, isn't it?
it is. And I think if people knew the numbers, it might give people a perspective. But the fact that we've always covered the places and we've always had priests in place, the reality of the crisis doesn't really hit many parishioners. But when you look at our median age is pretty old.
Right.
We have a lot of guys in their 60s, and so the median age is pretty old, and we may not be able to cover everything as we have in the past.
Right. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Well, maybe after listening to that sobering discussion, we should go on March 9th, you presided at the rite of election and calling the candidates to continuing conversion, also in Ottumwa. And Father Tom Hennon, the Vicar General, presided at the rite at Sacred Heart Cathedral in Davenport, where he is also the pastor. Can you talk a little bit about the purpose of the rite?
The purpose of the rite really is to welcome catechumens, especially. There's catechumens and candidates. And a candidate is somebody who has been baptized already and just needs either First Eucharist or confirmation. However, a catechumen is somebody who's never been baptized. So primarily the purpose is to welcome catechumens into the church. And catechumens, once you're a catechumen, they have a sort of a semi-official status in the church as members of the church, and it's really a formal beginning, a welcoming into that process. Even though they've been meeting in catechesis since earlier this fall, it's really a formal welcoming into the process of sacraments. So over the Lenten days and Lenten Sundays, they go through a period of scrutinies. So there's a whole series of rites that the catechumens and candidates go through as they prepare for the Easter sacraments. So this really is a formal beginning, a welcoming by the bishop into this process of the catechumenate. In the past, it was always done at the cathedral by the bishop, but the bishop has the authority really to delegate another person to do it. But so considering the large size of the diocese here, I'm told it sometimes limits participation in the diocese because coming to the cathedral on the outer parts of the diocese is quite a difficult task. I mean, the furthest part of the diocese is over 3 hours away.
Right.
So it's a pretty big task to get catechumens and candidates to the cathedral. So I was asked at the beginning of the year, do I want to do Ottumwa or the cathedral? In my previous diocese, it was not uncommon to split it up, to do one at the cathedral and at the same time do another part of the diocese. So,
okay.
So I decided to delegate Father Tom Hennon. Father Tom Hennon is the Vicar General of the diocese. He's so next to the bishop, he's almost like the executive officer or the executive vice president of the diocese. But sacramentally, he has all the I delegate that authority to him to do the rite of election here in the cathedral. Then I went to Ottumwa primarily because of bilingual skills. We wanted to have a bilingual experience, so we did it in Spanish and English in Ottumwa. While here in Davenport, it was just primarily English.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. And I'm wondering, what impressed you most about this? This was your first celebration of this, right? At least as our bishop, right?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And so what was your impression?
I've always been impressed with the stories of those who are going through the catechumenate in terms of what led them to the faith. What was the process that led them to become Catholic? I remember back in the time when I was a teenager, when the whole rite of Christian initiation for adults was starting. I just remember the impact of doing these public rites in the church, in my home parish. I just remember my mother remarking, it makes you wonder, why are they coming into the church? What has led them here? And it really is a great witness for not just for catechumens and candidates, but also for those of us who've been Catholic our entire life. It's just been a great witness of that there's still a lot of vibrancy, a lot of life in the church. So I like hearing the stories of people of why they've why they're entering the church, and the journey that brought them here. Those are exciting stories.
Yeah.
There's a great witness value to that. I remember as a kid reading the Catholic Digest, and I think the opening pages of the Catholic Digest was always I think it was called The Open Door. It was just people who were becoming Catholic, and that was the thing I read faithfully every month, even as a teenager, is the curiosity of what leads people to conversion and what has touched people's hearts and everything. So to be able to see all those catechumens and candidates in Ottumwa, and I hear it was a great celebration here in Sacred Heart as well. It's just a very powerful witness to the whole church, really.
Did a couple people share their stories with you in Ottumwa?
Generally, afterwards, I have a conversation with some of them, and they all come in different paths. Some of them it's because of marriage. They're marrying someone who is Catholic, and some of them it's been after many years that they just made the decision that now's the time, right, to do it.
Well, that's wonderful. And I was wondering, what message did you share with the gathering in your homily?
Generally, I talk about faithfulness as Catholics, and it can be very easy just to make Catholicism an easy thing that I wear, and I can fit in nicely with the culture and everything. However, there's a radical dimension to being Catholic in the world, and I did tell them, prepare to be ridiculed and prepare to be laughed at, and that's the thing that Catholics should recognize, that if the Catholic life is easy for you, it's probably not being lived correctly. The Catholic life is very challenging for our culture, and we try to make it comfortable for ourselves. But if we live it deeply, it's a pretty radical calling. And so I tell Catholics as they're entering into the church that prepare to be laughed at, prepare to be ridiculed. We're ridiculed on television quite regularly. We're the object of jokes on television as well to make it all look silly. But that is the price that we pay for faithfulness. And so my message to new Catholics generally is about being faithful as Catholics, that they're called to greatness in the world, but that call to greatness comes at a cost. It comes at the possibility of being canceled by our culture and ridiculed by our culture.
But also, I think you said something too about trusting that God is with us.
Correct. Yes. We can feel all alone at times, but I think coming to this rite of election it should confirm for people that God has been with me in this process, and He's led me to this point, and He's not going to leave me alone as we move forward.
Well, and that community celebration, to me, it gives a sense that we're in this together.
Yeah.
And I think that's at least provides some sense of God's presence too, doesn't it?
Yes.
Or some
Oh,
sense
absolutely. I mean, none of us do this by ourselves, and it's not just a me and Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
it's myself, my brothers and sisters. We're all in this together. I mean, it doesn't make much sense if I am saved and you're not,
Exactly.
unless I can bring you with me. It doesn't really mean much. It's not a
Yeah.
me and Jesus thing. It's an us and Jesus, and we're all in this together.
That's great. What do you hope the participants took away from this, right? I guess that would be the message, right? That it's
It's a good question. They're always, when I talk to them afterwards, they're always deeply moved by the celebration. I think it's meaningful for Catholics when the bishop is the is the one doing it, right?
Yeah.
There's always we have no problem identifying ourselves as part of a parish under a pastor. We have no problem identifying ourselves as Roman Catholics under a pope. But this notion of being part of a local church, of being in communion with the church through a bishop who is in communion with the church, that is it brings a whole new dimension to the Christian life. I think when you realize that the Church of Davenport is our local church, and it's not just our parishes, but there is the local Church of Davenport, and I hope that it gives catechumens and candidates that dimension that they are part of a local church more than just their parish. And yes, they are going to be Roman Catholics, but there is this local church that they belong to, and that's how we exercise our Catholic life, is through this local church.
and it's kind of cool that you made you took the travel time to go there. I wonder if that was pretty impressionable too on people.
Yeah,
The fact that you traveled a distance to
Sure.
get there for them.
I enjoy getting to the outer parts of the diocese, so I don't mind the 2.5, 3 hour drives for confirmations and the rite of election and so forth. I mean, it is part of my responsibility to be a symbol of communion for the whole church, and so it would it be easier and more convenient for me to do it all here in Davenport? Absolutely. Would it be better? Probably not. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to go out into the parishes to do these things.
So you'll probably do a simultaneous celebration next year,
I
do you
think
think?
we're looking at that for next year as well. I think next year I'll be in the cathedral, and probably Father Tom will be out in Atumwa.
Well, that's his hometown.
It's his home parish, so he'll be fine with that, I think. I
Oh,
hope.
that's great. That's awesome. Okay, one last topic. On March 16th, you spoke with young adults at Faith on Tap, I understand, focusing on the Jubilee Year of Hope that we are celebrating in 2025. Now, the Catholic Church encourages the faithful to embark on a pilgrimage to Rome during the Jubilee year. Now, you told young adults that you think every Catholic should make a pilgrimage to Rome in their lifetime. Tell me about that. But first, what's the purpose of a pilgrimage, and how does that differ from traveling on vacation?
Well, pilgrimage is generally a religious experience. It's a destination to a place that is spiritually a place to go, whether it's a Marian shrine or some other shrine, for example. In Rome, the place of pilgrimage is really to go to the birth of the church, or the center of the church, where Peter and Paul were both martyred, to go and be able to see the physical remains of Peter himself, and that's under St. Peter's altar. I mean, it's very powerful to be able to see holy places. I remember when I went to Poland, I did a trip to Poland. What impressed me, and I was a little jealous, actually. So we get to Jasna, which is Our Lady of Czestochowa, and it's a big fortress, and they usually bring up a drawbridge so you can't get in at night, and so opening the drawbridge, it's all very dramatic.
Wow.
But once you get into the fortress and to get into the church, it's great to see. It was great to see all these young people who travel all parts of Poland, coming to Jasna to be there. And they've been traveling for days. They camp out in the countryside as they make their way. And what impressed me with that is just the sense of fraternity, the sense of growing in faith, deeply spiritual moments for all of them, and ending up at a place like Jasna, Our Lady of Czestochowa, and giving thanks. it just strikes me as something that builds faith. So that's why I think pilgrimages are important in the life of the church. We probably don't do it enough anymore. Just remembering in my day, people going to places in Toledo Diocese. There was Our Lady of Consolation in Cary, Ohio. Going there, there are shrines all over the Midwest. I think we're going to take a pilgrimage of young men and women up to Wisconsin to Our Lady of Guadalupe Shrine up there. So,
Oh, cool.
so pilgrimage is a big thing for me, and I just think it builds faith, especially going to Rome. I've been to Rome maybe 4 or 5 times. It's just been a wonderful experience every time to be able to visit the catacombs where the early Christians celebrated Mass, to be able to go to Rome itself and to see all the pageantry and all the glory and all the art. It's all very, very uplifting.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that young people, especially, and if as Catholic high schools especially, we can do school trips to Rome, I would be all for it. But I know it's expensive, but I just think it would be a powerful experience for our young people to have that experience of going to Rome in their early days.
You know, what really amazed me was being in the Colosseum and thinking about Christians being martyred there.
Yeah.
And they described, some gruesome details.
Sure.
I mean, but I was standing there. I guess, is that part of it, the whole physicality of it?
It is. What's in the middle of St. Peter's Plaza is an obelisk that was in the original the Circus Maximus, which is where thousands of Christians were martyred. And that obelisk. I mean, the Circus Maximus no longer exists. However, that obelisk was taken to the middle of St. Peter's Basilica or St. Peter's Plaza, and put there. So this obelisk that stood in the place where thousands of Christians were martyred is now in the middle of St. Peter's Plaza here, as where Christians gather, and Christians are in pilgrimage all the time to St. Peter's Plaza to visit the Holy Father. There's a great story on Cardinal George. I don't know if you remember Cardinal George, but
Yeah.
he was the Cardinal Archbishop of Chicago. But after the election of Pope Benedict, Cardinal George was up on the balcony out overlooking the square, and all the other cardinals were out on the balcony with Benedict. But then they all went in, but Cardinal George stayed on the balcony, and all the cameras kind of focused on George, Cardinal George, who was there by himself looking out into the square. A reporter asked him, "Cardinal, what were you thinking about as you were looking out in the square?" And he said, "Well, I'm thinking about all those who have given their lives, martyred, all those who persecuted the church, Nero himself, who great persecutions of the church." And he said, "Here we are, we just elected the successor of Peter, who's been here for 2,000 years. And he says, where are they now? Where are all those people that persecuted the church, all those governments, kings, and thrones, and powers?" Rome is literally built on the relics of broken empires, and yet the church endures, and we've had a pope for 2,000 years, and it will continue on. The church will always be there to rebuild from the past, and so
That's really something for the Jubilee Year of Hope, isn't it?
it is, yes.
That's a concrete example.
We can get so overwhelmed by the negativity that exists in the culture and in the world today, but it should give Catholics great hope that many governments, many powers, and many empires and kings have come and gone, and yet through it all, the church has remained, and the church has been the one to rebuild broken societies. So it really should be a source of great consolation and hope for Catholics.
Yes, exactly. So tell me, on your first pilgrimage to Rome, what was there something that stood out for you the most? That was really touched you deeply.
I would say it's just people go to the papal audiences. I was never really moved by the papal audiences because there's so many people and you're so far back, so it doesn't do anything. But just to see the grandeur of it all, to go into St. Peter's Basilica is just remarkable.
Yeah.
So when I went in baby bishop school before I became Bishop of Davenport, we had Mass at St. Peter's Basilica behind the main altar. We went to the front of the altar, and at the front of the altar and down below there are steps going down, which is really the the burial place of St. Peter, and beyond a piece of glass you can see the ossuary that contains the remains of St. Peter. Very powerful for me as going to be a new bishop, to be able to go down there and make a personal pilgrimage to the very foundation of the faith.
Wow, that's awesome. That's terrific. I don't have any other questions for you, Bishop. I think you've covered all of those topics.
Thank you very much.
Very well. So
Thank
I
you.
look forward to next month.
All right. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.